So,
hello.
All right, there we go.
Where did you go?
It goes up. It did this last time too. I was about to text you. Are we live? We're live.
We're live, dude. Hey, listen. So Mover is not with us.
Well, don't say it like that.
Well, you're right.
I mean, you make it sound really bad, dude. He's just an airline
Mover is
trainee.
no longer
it's
with
not
us.
a death sentence. Jeez.
What I meant to say is minus Mover tonight. Yeah, he's alive and well. He's complaining like always. Just kidding. But yeah, so I kind of feel like when I was 17 and my dad first let me drive the Z28 by myself.
Yeah.
Wow. Like
so what you're saying is that you'll be just like this 40 years from now, doing the exact same thing.
Probably.
In the same show. That's good.
Doug, how are you?
I'm Midland affair.
Yeah. Well, I would ask you how your week or weekend went, but
no, I mostly just laid on the couch and drank hot drinks and watched Justified.
Okay. Well, is it working?
Not so far.
Well, I got it. Sorry, dude. Go ahead.
No, it's cool. I was gonna say I got feeling well enough to go on DCS and shoot down some Kiowas.
Perfect. And hey, you're well enough to come on the show today and help me get through episode 52.
1 year. Congrats.
Right. In the normal calendar.
Mover to show up for it. Yeah. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's only the 1 year anniversary. What about how was your weekend, sir?
It's been busy. I've been working a lot in the training department and enjoying the kid time, the family time. We got vacation coming up, so that's huge. I'm looking forward to that. That's right. It's been it's one of those things where the time you look back and you're like, how are we at the end of June? Right? Like that doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. And I feel so old saying that. You know what I mean?
Old people talk.
But it's like, dude, next time we'll be talking about how hot it is. Why is it so dang hot?
It is hot.
By the way, it is really hot.
It's so hot.
What's going on with that? But I do have to give a shout out because this is huge. So this is no joke. This is a true story, 100% true story, not a 100% wombat true story. Like 100%. This just happened like 30 minutes ago. So I'm putting my boy to sleep. Right. And we're up there chatting about the day and what we're going to do tomorrow and blah, blah, blah. And I don't have to work tomorrow. So he's all excited. And I was like, hey, man, do me a favor. Just, because his room's right above this. Right. Because I'm in the temporary office until my daughter moves upstairs. And he goes, hey, I go, dude, do me a favor. Try not to be too loud, because people might hear it. And he goes, no problem, Dad. I won't. He goes, and I'm walking out of the room. He goes, hey, Dad, can you do me a favor? And I was like, yeah, buddy, what do you need? I mean, he's not 6 years old, right? He turned 6 in August. He goes, wear your red never down, never out shirt. And I go, okay. And he goes, no. He goes, trust me, you'll sell a ton of them if you wear that shirt. I'm not making this
I
up.
like what you did there.
I was like, my kid is a future entrepreneur. And I was like, so my wife was laughing. She's like, do you even know where it is? I'm like, it's in the pile somewhere. I'm like, it doesn't smell too bad, but it was funny. I was like, I'll put it on. He's like, but make sure you say something. He's like, you'll sell a ton. And I'm like, yeah, buddy, it cracks me up. He is
so. Dude, you know what? Some coloring books and maybe a little kid storybook could go really good with that shirt.
I agree with you. By the way, love the book. Like, really nice job. Yeah, dude. Really nice job.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Coming from a real author.
Allegedly.
Yeah. No,
allegedly.
Hey, speaking of books, dude, are you working on anything? How's it coming?
Dude, it is brutally painful at this point. I'm not training in the next month in the training department. So I'm out flying, and I plan on actually flying the plane, which I'm looking forward to, and having some time off to just focus on that. Because I was thinking about today, I was driving into work at 4 a.m, which, by the way, if I look tired, I already saw one person say I look like I'm blushing. It's the lighting in here. I'm not a professional. Well, it cracks me up though, because I'm like, dude, I don't care. But I promise you, it's not my blood pressure. I just had my physical done. But and one person commented like, Wombat's blood pressure must be so high. I'm like, dude, that's not. Is that how it works? Do you physically get red? Like, if you're physically getting red because your blood pressure is that high, you're about to die.
Welcome to the internet.
Just saying. So, right, I agree. So the what were we talking about? So yeah, so I'm flying in July, and I was thinking about today driving in. I'm like, you know what? For the first time in a long time, I really, really want to make this book happen. I want to close the trilogy. So that's a feeling I haven't had in a while. So I'm hoping that I could take that momentum and, move forward with it. And
well, good.
So I'm trying. Trust me, I am.
Hey man, you've already got 2 out there. So I know it's going to happen. Monkeys will off your back. And
I hope to be motivated while on vacation with the beautiful scenery.
That's right.
Get some writing.
That's right.
So we'll see.
Well, good. Yeah. So I had a semi-interesting week.
What's going on with you?
So apparently at the ripe old age of almost 46, I have early stages of arthritis in my knees. That was what's wrong with me.
I was going to ask you. I meant to text you that.
Yeah. And hey, some of the viewers sent me some really nice emails about that with their concerns. I really appreciate that. Went to it's the Andrews Institute down in Gulf Breeze, so some pretty good. Yeah, I went in there, and then everybody's football jerseys are up. Thanks, Doc, for putting me back together. I was like, okay, I'm in the right spot. And
they're like, wait till you see my jersey.
Well, I'll give you a Mover and Gonky shirt.
There you go.
And one of those ones that Wombat's got on, $14.
Yeah. Whoa, easy.
But no, so they did the MRIs and stuff, and I guess the back of my kneecaps don't have much cartilage left. Ouch. So they just said, hey, it's a flare up. There's some stuff they're going to do. Hopefully it doesn't progress. I guess the last thing they do if you can't do treatment to control the inflammation is a partial knee replacement, which I don't want to do that. Yeah.
Dude, my sister, now she's older than you, but my sister's had both done.
Yeah.
Because of her time in the Coast Guard, 25 years of being on steel deck plates is what.
Well, yeah,
I believe her. I mean, that's brutal. Where all the time we were on the flight deck.
Exactly.
I mean, remember all those guys? Here's a public service announcement to young aviators in the Navy: don't run on the flight deck for exercise. Like, I can't tell you how many. Remember how many people like, oh, flight deck's open for jogging. I'm like, get the hell out of here!
Yeah,
like,
it's not padded.
It's
the non-skid doesn't squish.
Trust me, I have op-checked it with many a 903 and a Hornet. It is not padded at all. So it's crazy. Well, so is the swelling and all that gone down? I know you said they pulled some fluid. So
yeah, they pulled. Well, that was in Ohio. Here they didn't do anything other than they're like, yeah, just, compression. And I've got a 3 shots here. So this is crazy tech here. I'm just a big dumb animal, but they're
you
like,
don't have to tell people, it's implied.
They said the cartilage's response to arthritis is inflammation. And they have this shot they'll put in there. It's this 3-shot series spaced out over 3 weeks. And it's supposed to reprogram the cells to be like, oh, arthritis, not going to swell up. So no swelling, no pain. So they said that, it doesn't work for everybody. So that's what I'm doing. I start that treatment in in July. So hopefully that works. But like you mentioned, man, it's, when they're asking me like, well, when did you start having knee problems? I have VA disability in both knees. I said, well, being in the Navy, like, everything's at least 2 to freaking 6 stories tall, right?
Yeah.
And there's no elevators. It's all up and down the stairs. I can't tell you how many times I ran up and down maintenance ops, right? So
up to the tower, pry fly, right?
And they even have knee knockers. I mean, come on.
They literally call it that.
It's called a knee knocker when you go.
It's because later in life your knees are knocked.
Yeah, your knees are knocking, and it's not good.
That
so
sucks, has the swelling gone down now though? Like, is it any like, do they know what caused the inflammation? This has turned into a completely non-aviation show.
No, awesome. Well, it's aviation related. I got it in the Navy, as a naval aviator. No, it's from my kneecap, bone on bone. That's what caused it. So
I promise I was spotting you during those squats in flight school. I promise.
Dude, I don't think it's that. I think it's the doc was like, yeah, I can tell you're active dude. And he's like, you're not, yeah, it happens. And they said the best thing to do is keep moving. So
I mean, Kate and I talk about that, my wife, all the time, about that with like, that's the goal, right? Like you transition in that point in your life where it's like, I just want to be able to sit by myself and stand by myself
and play with my kids.
My son and I have a agreement that I will pick him up physically on his birthday every year. So he needs to stay in good shape, and so else that's gonna get ugly quick. But anyway, I'm glad it's feeling a little better. It'll be good, man.
Well, on that note, we got something kind of fun and interesting here. Too bad Mover can't be here to.
Dude, this is huge.
That's right.
Well, if he's not going to show up for the 1-year anniversary, he's not going to show up.
I'm going to hide this so you can. There we go. Look at that. Thanks.
Number 1.
Thanks, Doug, Wombat. You guys were a part of making us number 1.
That's great. I mean,
yeah, it might be one of 2, but like you were talking with before the show,
still number 1, right? You're either first or last. I think that's the true. So that, I mean, dude, that's pretty cool. And now, because I'm ignorant on this stuff, this is this show, right? Because it changed a lot. Because it was being done on Mover's channel, and he obviously has a ton of followers, and then you guys turned it into this channel. So that's impressive to just be riding the pigtails of what the followers he had, right?
Any technology type award, I'm going to consider that for me a colossal win. I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean, if you've been watching the show for a while, you know that I can't.
No, that's awesome, man. Congrats. I mean, that's really cool.
Where do you go from here, right?
It's only up. More. The expectation bar has been higher.
That's right.
Now it's time to get to work. So
next is 1 of 1,000. Mover wanted me to mention if listeners, viewers, out there, Mace is doing that NATO conference. Any questions for NATO? Send them to me, send them to Mover, and we'll get them to Mace, and then hopefully get some sort of update on that. She hasn't gone yet, so just one more plug for that.
That's pretty cool.
And then before I guess we got some articles and stuff. There it is. Thank you. Before we get started with some of the articles, which we have tonight, believe it or not, Mover got a question from one of the viewers I thought was really good, and he's like, hey, you guys should talk about this since it's a little bit Navy centric, and since this is kind of the Navy 1-year anniversary show, I thought
some people would say as it should be.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No,
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Even Doug agrees, man. There's a reason. That's right. So So basically, it was sent in by a father, and his son has selected jets in Kingsville. And his son is having doubts and second guesses of whether he wants the lifestyle of being a fast jet pilot, which, I mean, as you know, does demand quite a bit of time, a lot of time actually, and dedication. And
As does anything when you're truly amazing.
and he's
Just
thinking
ask
about
any of us.
chatting. He's thinking about chatting with his XO to go back to Pensacola to go to the try to go over to the rotor wing side of the house. So now this is dad, you know, because I'm sure dad's talk to his son, and he just wants some guidance. So he just kind of wants our thoughts on that. And I'll let you start, Wombat, since I mean you were in the training command a little bit more than I was in the VT specifically. So I mean, I guess when you were there, did you have any VT students like after like an El Centro det be like, nah, I don't want to do this. I want to go fly helos? And I mean,
you know, you wouldn't see that so much. I think that was the natural tendency when somebody would struggle, right? And then they would start second guessing themselves. And because it's difficult, man. I mean, the whole T45 syllabus is difficult, and it's fast paced, and it's, you know, you finally get through one phase and you're like, oh, I got that. And it's right to the next. And unfortunately, that's naval aviation, right? And we're going to talk about something here with a video that my wife and I watched earlier, and she asked some great questions as to like why certain things happen in the Navy, and it's that way because you don't have a choice. I mean, as soon as, you know, as we used to say, you know, when you're haze gray and underway, like every day is a challenge, right? And I mean, I remember the first flight in the fleet as a Hornet guy was essentially the culmination of every phase of training I did in the RAG in one flight. And what was crazy about it was that was just a training flight in my Hornet squadron. Like it wasn't anything, it wasn't even combat, but we did everything. So what I would recommend to this guy, and if, or girl, whoever, I assume son, you said son, is, you know, reach out. I mean, I'll talk to somebody. I did a lot of time there. You know, I would gladly talk to this kid and, you know, talk on the phone and give advice if he wants to listen to me, but I'd tread very lightly with what he says around the squadron. I'd be very careful talking to anybody in the command. And I'm not knocking the command. I don't even know who's in charge down there right now, but only because there is such a high emphasis put on being a fighter pilot that people can construe your, not even doubt, but you're just thinking big picture and going, is this for me? Right? As like, it's not for this guy. Get him out of here. And it's like, whoa. You don't need that either. You don't need that attention. So I could see it being very, very difficult. And you don't want to highlight yourself in the wrong way. But I'm also the type of person, and dude, we've been friends, my God, 20 some odd years now, right? You and I have bounced ideas off each other. Some of the other people that quote unquote know me and think they're my friends, but they're really just people that know me, think that I bounce all over the place with ideas, when in reality, it's just throwing ideas out there. I'm just researching, right? I mean, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? So you have to be careful, though, to only open that up to your trust tree, which can be very difficult in flight school because you don't know who's really there to be on your side.
Dude, one important piece I did not tell you, and I apologize. He's 30 days from winging out of Kingsville.
Yeah. To me, you got to keep on the path you're on. I think at that point, you're in it. So go in it and go all in it, because it's not a profession to go in weak-hearted. You have to give it your all. And it will be insanely rewarding, but it will also kick you in the pants over and over again. But you know what? And again, I'm going to get hate mail for this, and I will. Bring it on. I don't care. Here's what I'll tell you. You and I both have friends. They got an appointment to the Naval Academy. They got the flight school, Kingsville Meridian they wanted. They got jets. They flew the jet they wanted.
Yep.
Newsflash. At some point in life, they hit a wall. Maybe they got to the airlines and they didn't get the fancy plane they wanted or the wide body. They had to fly some old thing like a Mad Dog. And they're like, this This is ridiculous. 9 times out of 10, those people crumble later on in life. The person who isn't 100% sure that they're on the right path, but works hard at it, looks at the big picture and goes, hey, I can do this for this amount of time and then go over here and use this skill set over here. And it doesn't have to be that path that everybody in the ready room and the blue couches sit on and go, this is the guided path. How could you not want to be on it? Those guys, you included, they could take hits all day long, doesn't phase them. And to me, that is so much more beneficial in life than anything that you're talking about in flight school. So I would say, now, I still stand by, if it ever gets back to them, reach out to me. Email, whatever. I would absolutely give advice. I love talking to the next generation because I really do think it's important. But 30 days from winging, at that point, it is time that you need to buckle down, be proud of the achievement that you have accomplished, because the difference is this guy has spent the last 2 years surrounded by people that are doing the exact same job. So you lose touch with how special what he's going to accomplish is. And Wings of Gold are extremely special, right? And I mean, we see this all the time, right? You're centered around all your buddies, and it's like, well, everybody could land on a carrier single engine pitching deck at night, right? Isn't that the thing? And then you get out of that envelope and people look at you like, you did what? Like on purpose?
Yeah.
So again, I think at some point you've got to be proud of what you've accomplished. You've been put on this path for a reason. You have a skill set for a reason. They're not handing out jet slots to just anybody. I mean, they still aren't. That's not a thing. So roll with it. There's something there, would be my gut, going back, looking wisdom-wise, that there is a skill set that he needs to be there. And it might not feel right today, and it's not going to feel right every step of the way, but it is probably going to work itself out to be right in the long term.
Yeah, man, you bring up a lot of good points. I mean, for me, when I read that question, and he is an Annapolis guy too.
So he's definitely not going to email me because I basically just stereotyped him.
Well, so like when I was going through, we had a Marine who he was in my class, maybe a class ahead or behind me. He's in my little cadre of,
Sure.
wide-eyed students, and he quit.
Is this in Kingsville?
Yeah, he quit.
I remember.
And he just told the sim instructor, and we were relatively early in the program. He's like, I don't know about this. He's like, I want to be down with the troops, whatever, the Marine thing.
Sure.
And, the sim instructors tried to tell him, because they're civilians. They're like, look, man, and then you bring up another good point, Wombat. The training command is the training command. It's not the real game, right? So
Sure.
They were like, dude, this is an amazing opportunity. You're very fortunate to be here. Take it and run with it. And he didn't do it. He quit. The only other time I can think of people going in and asking for a swap is my Hornet Rag class. There's 6 of us. 3 of us wanted East Coast, 3 of us wanted West Coast. All 3, they gave us the exact opposite of what we wanted. So we all went into the OPSO's offices like, hey, can we just swap a room? That way everyone's happy.
Everybody's happy. And
you would have had a gun, he'd have shot us. He's get that out of my office.
But you guys did it, right?
We did it, but it was not wise. So I would
No.
absolutely, at this point, 30 days from winging, the Navy has a ton of money invested in you already. You've already gone through phase 1, phase 2 of the T-45. 30 days out, you probably CQ'd already.
Are they even CQing anymore though? That's the thing.
That's right.
So he could have air to air left 30 days out.
Yeah. But I mean, they've invested.
Not everybody's CQing. So much money.
Nobody is, the Navy's not going to be like, oh, all right, Billy, you don't, and his name's not Billy, but Billy, you don't want jets.
We feel sorry for you.
Well, we've got, sure, we'll send you back through the Hilo pipeline. It only costs the taxpayers, $1 million or whatever. But,
and that's the other thing is, and again, it's what I fear for this guy is that if he even brings it up as I'm just trying to talk through a mental process, the negative possible ramifications of that, right? 100%. It's just not worth it. It's talk to people you trust. And like I said, I mean, I'm nobody, but I would listen to this kid and I'd give him advice. I gave kids lots of advice in flight school when I was there, both times as instructors and down in Pensacola, although it's not as good at giving NFOs advice because I'm like, you've already made bad choices, but that's a different story. But the thing is, like, the fear I would have is, what if the Navy goes, you know what? You don't think this is for you? Well, we have a great supply job.
Yeah.
See,
yeah,
and now you don't have the wings. And the other thing that a lot of people don't look at, and I didn't either, and I know damn well you didn't, because you were a steely-eyed fighter pilot. Like, I just want to fly Tomcats and burn a hole in the ground, saving my country, right? Like, that's all you cared about in flight school. But looking back, okay? Fixed wing time, vice helo time. And I know I give helos a lot of hard time, but go to the civilian world. Where are the options? Where's the money? And I'm not saying money's everything. I'm just saying.
Well, dude, besides that, I mean, right, 99.9% of the transitions within the Navy is one platform to fighters.
Correct.
There's a reason for that. And, you know, I just, you know, hey, if I was dad, I would say, look, man, you've done well. Keep going. If you're, you know, put prowlers as number one, not growlers. Sorry,
dude. So I was thinking that while you're saying that, I'm like, if I could go back,
no, I wouldn't. But I know what you're saying.
I might though. And here's the thing: we were literally talking about this in the sim today because we were doing one of the training things we had to do is we had to do CFIT, which it bothers me that the airlines call it CFIT because the goal is to not fly into terrain, but that's just a personal thing, right? And we're doing this, and the captain I'm working with is Viper guy, right? 20-year Viper guy, retired. And I go, man, I bet you feel comfortable down here. And we're doing it. The training set that we do in the sim is up in Seattle. And he's like, yeah. And I was thinking about, I was like, man, like growler guys just fly low levels out here and they're super horny all day while they got an ECMO back there that can videotape it for YouTube. They're going to have awesome YouTube channels. They already have the best cruise videos. I'm like, yeah, I miss my calling. So, well, but yeah, I mean, not everything is steely-eyed, pointy nose, single seat.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. It's like no community wants a slacker. I mean, in the Hawkeye community, did they appreciate slackers?
Easiest way to not have a snowball's chance in hell of getting a transition is to tell people you wanted a transition. Easiest way. And we had guys come in after me and do that. Like from day one, I don't want to be a Hawkeye pilot. I want to fly fighters. This is stupid. I want to fly fighters. None of them did the transition. What did I do? I kept my mouth shut. I worked really hard.
Yes.
Got all my LSO quals, got all my tactical quals, got my master's degree on the side while deploying, and got lucky with having the right connections. But the point being is like, yeah, 100%. So it's tough. And I feel bad because I remember when you get to the end of T-45s, like you're exhausted. And I can only imagine now with how long it takes. Like, dude, you're just beat down because you thought you were going to ride in on your Kawasaki Ninja with Kelly McGillis. But you know what I mean? And just hair on fire. This is going to take me through the whole training syllabus. When you get my wings, we're going to get hammered at the O Club and off to the rag I'm going to go. And it's going to be magical. And then you realize there's a grind involved.
Yeah.
And I don't want the grind to be what sets this guy back. Because I have to believe if he is at that point, he has the potential. And frankly, as a citizen of this country, we need people with that potential to stay on that path. That is the ultimate, that's what you're doing it for, right? I mean, as much as it's fun to go rip around in a Hornet, you're doing it for your country, and we need people like that.
It irritates me that the T6 community didn't figure out that maybe this guy wasn't fighter material.
But maybe he is fighter material.
Maybe, I don't know. Again,
you know what I mean? It's not everybody was like you. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm not.
You mean barely made it?
No, and you know damn well you didn't barely make it. So that's not, but not everybody was so driven and focused like you were. I mean, dude, when it came to flying fighters, like you were in the next league of focus, period. I mean, a complete, well, but you were there. And remember, not everybody in our flight school class was, right? Myself included. I didn't have the maturity to do it advanced. I was just hanging on. And I mean, so it's one of those things like, it's just, I pray for this guy that he makes the right decision because you're going to have to live with it. And one of the greatest things, and I can end it on this, but one of the greatest things about this that I look back on my career, and you of all people in this world know all the intricate details which maybe will come out one day on the world's greatest podcast. Because if I say all the stories, the Navy's going to crack.
Gotta save them.
I've already got purse 43 on the rope, so I might as well just keep going. But the bottom line is, I look back at how the Hornet transition went. I look back at my whole career, 20 years, and I don't regret a damn thing. And I can sit here at 45 years old with a wife and 2 kids and go, you know what? I can now focus on them because I did everything I wanted to do. And that is such a freeing feeling. Regret, man.
Yeah. I'd stay the course, man. Suck it up. You'll like it.
But again, reach out if we can help. We're here to help. So
cool. Doug, we got some chat.
We do indeed.
Questions to catch up on. Thank you. Steve R says, with Mover not here and not in focus, it won't be a Barbara Walters special.
Nice.
Thanks.
Mover keeps it going in the right direction. We've spent 30 minutes talking about a kid in Kingsville. I mean,
that's okay. That's all right, man. You know, that kid, that's there we go.
He got more airplay than we ever got in flight school.
That's true.
Was YouTube even around? Were the internets even around when we were in flight?
05.
Okay.
Ethan says, Wombat, thoughts on the E2 making an air show appearance in North Michigan this weekend?
That sounds amazing. I want people to video it, take pictures, and tag the heck out of me. I love it when E2s go to air shows. Most fun I ever had was going to an air show. Most fun.
Did you guys just do a static display or?
Yeah, static. But I never told you my air show story. So we're coming in and they give us the overhead, and it's the VIP day down there, right? So here comes the big dumb E2 coming in, and I'm like, I'm gonna bring the heat. I'm gonna do the carrier, and I do, dude. I get this thing. I apologize to current E2 pilots because there's a fair chance a lot of the limitations are because of my generation. But I mean, just firewall it, right, and just go as fast as that thing will go. And I rip it off right across the VIP crowd, right, as they're doing all their stuff down there. What I didn't realize at the time is how maneuverable the E2 was in thin air because we were up at high altitude. And dude, I broke and rolled out over the runway. And I was like,
oops.
Uh-oh. I'm like, I don't know how to get right there. And I had to extend and do all this stuff and land. And dude, everybody at that air show was like, did you fly that? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I didn't know it could do that. I was like, me neither. I like legitimately, I was as shocked as you were. So it's really cool to see, you know, the flyby videos or the air show. That's really cool. Plus, nobody hates an E2 static display because that wingspan, get your seats early. That's a lot of shade. Just saying.
Mike says, if Gonky and Wombat were in an F-14, who is the Rio? Come on. I really don't want to be the Rio.
It wouldn't matter because if we get
2 flights, we'd swap. Does that count?
Yeah, of course. I'd sit in the back first, dude. For you, absolutely.
I'd ride in the back. I mean, what does that guy do back there? I don't know.
He finds circuit breakers and then calls
just don't eject
That's
me.
what we learned.
Do not eject me.
We both would be broken if we had to eject right now. Are you kidding me?
Leave the pins in. I saw it happen.
Then your knees would be the least of your problems. Your back would be splintered.
Kate says, we're two of my 3 favorite people and authors. Thank you, Gonky and Wombat, for not leaving us to languish until Thursday. You got this Wombat.
Was that the plan? Was to go all the way till Thursday?
Yeah, it was. But
give
man,
people what they want. Man, come on.
I know, but you know, with our dynamic schedule, this summer's always so busy.
Summer is tough.
We were pitching ideas around, and well, Kate, hey, here it is. Hopefully, it was worth it. But thank you. We appreciate the support. Midnightly, is that right there? I can't believe Gonky's 46. What's the
I like when Doug does all the comments.
Come on. Pause.
I could get us canceled right here, but I'm not going to.
You can say genetics and not get in trouble.
I was going to say genetics is what it was, but it was probably still going to.
I got this wrinkle filter on my camera. It just takes what's funny is I had a beard up until about an hour ago.
Dude, when I logged on, I was like, you look
usually I like my sideburns kind of long, but they were all white. I was like, oh shit. So I had to trim them up a little bit.
This is nowhere near as cool anymore.
No.
See, somebody wrote it. Hidden Force. I'm not going to say it in the comments. Hidden Force said the reason. There you go. So I don't get us canceled.
Kate, Gonky, I'm sorry about your knee. Try chondroitin. I have tried that stuff. It helps. Gosh, maybe
I take it by the bottle. Is that the right amount of dosage?
I'm taking that stuff. It helps a lot. But honestly, the only over-the-counter stuff that seems to work is 1,000 milligram at a time Motrin. So
if it was good enough for the Navy, it's good enough for you now.
Prescribed to me by
Kidneys be
Navy
damned. To just drink a lot of water.
Yeah, ghetto. Wow. I was in row one of a 737-800 from Vancouver to Atlanta. After boarding, they said maintenance had to look at the door because they had slammed the bridge into the door. Is that normal? I just know I was going to get sucked out of the door. Landed safe, though.
It's not normal, but I've had it happen. I mean, I've had multiple times you taxi in and the jet bridge operators come in way too hot. And I remember one time they hit us, whole plane shuttered. And I was like, so immediately I looked at the FO. I was like, can you call maintenance? Because they're going to have to look at that. Like, we were done. I was done with the trip. And I felt bad because the jet rate driver, like, they opened the door and she runs in. She's like, please don't call maintenance. And I was like, I already did. I'm sorry. Like, well, I mean, so it happens. I mean,
well, so you're right. That's happened to me before. I'm like sitting there like punching buttons, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm like,
you're like, what?
Yeah.
Well, it's worse in the left seat, dude, because you see it coming.
Well, I guess what's the threshold? Because, like, I mean, I don't ever remember in training they're like, hey, if it does whatever, call me. Is it just your judgment?
I rank that up there with how many times can it drip a fluid? How many fasteners are supposed to be missing? It's 1-800 maintenance. It's not my problem.
That's true.
Not in this world, dude. There's too much at stake. All those professionals know what they're doing. I trust my maintainers to come and look at it. And if it's good, it's good. If it's not,
though, ghetto, since it was a 7.3, it's probably Boeing's fault.
Yeah, well, and let's be honest, they probably put it back in place. So they did they did you a favor.
That's right, dude.
That's the final step in closing doors now.
Correct. Exactly. The final step is to just nudge it with
part of their QA process. Boeing is like, just do us a quick favor, crank that door in there good, so we know it's good and tight.
Yeah, tap the door plug too while you're at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Katie, congratulations. So well deserved by all of you. Yeah, thank you very much.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah. Plexi, will Mover be heckling from the sidelines? You know what? I don't know. I'm sure in the show comments after the fact, he's probably gonna chime in. As long as we don't pick on him too much.
I feel like we already have, honestly.
Yeah, it all depends. It really depends on how things go. So I think as long as Doug keeps the train on the tracks around here, I think
that's the only thing that gives us a chance. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So if next week's show has a line through Mover, it didn't go well.
Or Gonky, the other way.
Gonky, right?
Might just be the Mover show.
The Mover show. Joe, congrats, guys. Well done. Interesting visual, though. A clean-shaven Gonky and a wombat turning Native American.
It's my, I'm telling you,
it's the shirt.
Room.
It's the reflective red.
My son told me to wear it, so you will all buy it. Send him to college.
I love it. Think of the children.
Think of the children. He wants a new Blue Angels model next month. If you buy the shirt, every shirt can go to a Blue Angels model.
I love it. Blue Rex 03. Maybe that kid could follow Gonky's lead in a C-130 cockpit. Oh, dude. You know what? The Navy does have C-130s, but it's in the reserves, and you're not going to get it out of Kingsville.
They're still all in Magoo, right?
I think so. Yeah, it's out west.
Mostly Magoo. Yeah,
somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. Tough.
There's a couple more, but I'm going to keep them for the next round.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Doug, pull up the first article, man. I can.
Here we go. Serious stuff.
Summarize this.
When I saw this, maybe I'm a little feverish, but I thought it meant people were getting their faces inspected.
You're not.
You may be a little feverish, Doug. That's
well, no, dude. You're not totally wrong.
This is the one I didn't read. I didn't see this on the first list.
That's right.
You're all in.
Mover is like, you need to talk about this. So Air Combat Command boss calls out discernible decline in standards. So basically, to summarize the article, he wants to bring back inspections.
Okay.
Right. 80,000 airmen. We're going to have uniform inspections. We're going to check your facial hair and make sure you're within regs. I read this and I'm thinking like, okay, boot camp style or OCS style inspections where we're all lined up in our uniforms and they've got the ruler out there doing their thing. Yeah, there it is. Customs and courtesies, just basic training kind of stuff. And
Sure.
like good order and discipline is important in the military. You have to have that. Yes. And
Of
then
course.
like Doug's
The
highlighting
Air
the good
Force is
stuff here.
awesome. I love the Air Force.
The
This is right
the
after massage school for flight school, right?
The Air Combat Command Surgeon General developed a shaving education course to help airmen understand proper medical protocols to reduce irritation caused by shaving. I mean, but these are the things that, in my mind, take away from the mission. The mission's already suffering, right? Recruitment and retention is already suffering, and here the air boss is, hey, this is going to be a priority of mine. This is going to be a focus of mine, and I just don't understand. Sometimes, man, I sit and scratch my head like, where is the disconnect, dude? Like, yeah, there you go. I mean, I just, yeah, most Air Force members want to do fulfilling work like deter conflict or crush our adversaries in aerial combat. Grooming standards are a pretty basic expectation in the U.S. military. It's disappointing that we have to waste time on enforcing them. An Air Force officer with experience told ACC. 100%. So, dude, big Air Force, top leadership. You need to listen to your middle level management. Like, hey, guys, what do you need? You know what they need? They need equipment that's serviceable and that has
Like airplanes, not Gillette razors.
correct. That
Okay.
they
Just
need
want
they
to be
need
clear.
equipment that they can use in realistic training. They need money to train, opportunities to train. They need less. In the Air Force, there's a word for it, and it's called queep, which I love it, which is just, remember, they got rid of it in the Navy. Remember NKO, Navy Knowledge Online?
Oh yeah.
So there's just a ton of stuff. It's almost like white noise that you have to do. And it over time, it's way worse now. I mean, when even when I left the Navy, it was way worse than when I first joined the Navy. So you've got SEALs, pilots, doctors, skippers. I mean, people who are hard workers want to do the mission, but they can't because guess what? You're not going to be able to log into your computer unless you do cybersecurity because that's super important. Oh, sorry, you're on a ship and connectivity is kind of crappy.
Sorry.
Don't know what to tell you. Sorry, guess can't log on, do your mission, right?
Yeah.
So
Dude,
I mean,
I agree. I think, well, first of all, and somebody brought up in comments, and I was thinking it too, is this whole article kind of is interesting to me because it insinuates that inspections stopped and went away. Like, so why aren't we doing certain levels of, and I know why, I know the answer now that I think about it, but it's like, so we've gotten away from it at one point, which is bad because part of being in the military is being uniform and being a member of a team and working together and doing all that. So you've already strayed from that core value that now you want to bring it back. Well, you don't bring it back during a time when morale is horribly low. You're not giving your people, your men and women, what they need to do their job. The retention is god awful. You're doing, I mean, just to plug another video, calling your people terrorists because they get out after their commitment. I mean, come on. Like at some point, you get to a point here where it's like, dude, force through the trees, bro. Like, and it goes back to what I said, like, the turds that are floating in military leadership right now, I know there's great ones out there because if there isn't, we would not be on an American YouTube channel speaking American. We'd be speaking another language and we would have been taken over. So there's enough good leadership out there, but they need to stand up and do something about it and fix all this BS and go, look, what is the mission? What is the training objective? How are we going to obtain it? Like, take away all the noise, take away all the fluff, and go back to the freaking basics. And that's what I think we need to do right now in a lot of places, but the military being one of them.
yeah, and honestly, even in the Air Force, I mean, there are if the boss thinks that there is a grooming and just general standards issue, pretty much in the Navy, your chiefs are the ones that are supposed to handle that. And they will handle it. And then, in the Air Force, you got
if you allow them to handle it, though, that's the thing. If you don't employ them to handle it, they can't. Because if they're so bogged down, worried about doing their damn cybersecurity.
Right. Well, hey, I mean, over the years, I would say power to middle management. In the Air Force, there's almost no power in middle management.
Well, the Navy, they lost it too.
They've gutted it a lot, right? So everything goes straight to the top, right? Skipper gets fired, right? No matter what it is. Airman cut his finger, problem with the culture and the command, skipper fired, right? Commander fired.
Yeah.
So, there needs to be, if you want to fix these kind of problems, you need to put the power back into your senior enlisted.
Mm-hmm.
And because honestly, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I was the perfectly groomed fighter pilot.
You were not. I'll say that you were not.
So
your lamb chop sideburns did not fit Navy regs.
So I got talked to by a senior chief on numerous occasions about my sideburns being too long, which being a
they were.
And they were 100%. He was right. And being a cocky, arrogant fighter pilot that I was back then, I labeled him as senior sideburns, and I trimmed him up, but I went halfway, right? He wanted them up, regs, and I went halfway.
That's called establishing dominance as an officer. Well played.
That's just called being a jerk, right? So,
but again, that's part of the game, though. Like you both got a little bit of what you want.
But he had the power, and he knew that if he went to my skipper and said, "Hey, I told Gonky to cut his damn sideburns," because guess what? All my troops in my shop who are 3 years out of basic and they're wrenching on these airplanes, they want to have sideburns as long as him. And he's got him, we're all.
And I guarantee you, your skipper was like, "Damn right, senior chief." Yeah. And I'll talk to him if he doesn't fix it.
Exactly. So that's what I'm talking about with putting power back into middle management, basically. And that stuff will fix itself. But dude, don't waste everyone's time.
No, this does not need to be a flag level. Like, come on, man. Like that's so
crazy.
God help us if that's what they're focused on. Like they need to be focused on like strategic big.
Number one problem.
We need them shaven better. Like
shaven. I know. Yeah.
That's crazy. Interesting. Well.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Good talk. All right. Hey. Bigger and better things here. USMC.
Yes. I want to go back in. Will they make me a Marine to fly the Legacy again? Because I want back.
So yeah, dude. So thank you, Doug, for bringing this up. So because shocker, Fat Amy, I'm sorry, the F-35 is on a perpetual delay. The Marine Corps is
doing so good, especially the version that takeoffs and lands vertically.
Fabulous.
Great idea.
Got all kinds of new tricks.
Or as I like to call it, how to lose $1 billion in some desert somewhere.
Yeah, dude. Well, because they are having basically equipment gap in their inventory of fighters, they've got to make the legacy jets last longer, right? So I've said it before. I always thought the Marines should have bought the Super Hornet 10 years ago to at least fill the gap until F-35 got here. Even back then, we could see there'd be delays, but they didn't do it. Neither here nor there. The legacy jets they have, I think they have about 170 or 80 of them left. They are going to upgrade them over time. This article here says most of their jets have like pushing 8,000 hours, which is kind of a lot. And Doug, if you scroll down, the upgrades are right there. It is. The upgrades include, scroll up just a little bit, include a version of the Raytheon APG-79 AESA radar, which is already in service.
And these are in Legacy Hornets.
Yeah,
that's
dude,
nice. Wow.
Which is already in service with the Supers and the Growlers. The Hornets are also getting integrated defense, electronic countermeasures, GPS anti-jamming capabilities, and other avionics hardware and software improvements. So the really cool part about this article is, man, these upgrades on these legacy jets are going to make them awesome. Like really awesome. Now, while the Marine Corps waits to get the F-35 in there, pending more delays. But my only concern with this, I mean, I love the Legacy Hornet. Have you ever been to Miramar? Wombat?
Mm-hmm.
Did you? I mean, we were there in me and Mover were there in like 2016, I think, and man, they had hangars of like dying, dead Legacy Hornets. It's very sad.
Well, but was that all the Marines, or was that like
Marines.
depot level maintenance stuff that was down there too?
It was all Marine.
Okay.
It was Marine because we were operating on Marine space. But what I'm getting at is the legacy jets that they have. See here, it says a lot of their jets have logged an average of 8 to 10,000 flying hours. That's a lot. So a lot
Dude,
of
we
those,
had that in my fleet squadron in our Charlies, though.
but they were worn, weren't they? I mean, they were used. You could tell.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
So, and the other thing, and Wombat back me up, but so these legacy jets that are getting the AISA upgrade, I wonder when anytime you add a lot of electronics to a fighter,
That's true.
you can pull the. Or thank you, Doug.
Maybe it's more of a dog now.
Not that, man. Like I remember in the Super Hornet, you had to. It was a good idea to have both generators online before you turned everything on. Whereas in the Legacy Hornet, man,
Yeah.
like one engine on, generators starting to come on, I'm turning everything on. Radar, everything.
Yeah,
Just
it
turn
could
it all
hack
on.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you did,
that's because your fishbowl radar moving map didn't take a lot of trons.
Yeah, this cell phone
takes significantly more than the GPS you had in your Charlie.
Yeah.
No, so that's a good point. It's gotta, I could see there being issues.
I wonder because are they getting a generator upgrade as well? Because like I said, even in the Super Hornet, new Super Hornet, it's a good idea to have both gens going before you turn everything on because man, it draws a ton of power.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't.
And that, being, it says in there basically it's going to be a newer version of the APG-79, which by the way, the APG-79 AISA in the Super Hornet, it's even better than when I flew it, but it was as far as the radar goes, I mean, it's an end all. It's an amazing radar. So I can't imagine having that. If they can get it to work with the older legacy aircraft, if they can get that whole package to work, it's gonna be a really good
plane to fly. Pretty lethal plane to fly.
Yeah, I think
I'm a little jealous.
Game changer. Yeah, I know. So, dude, I'm very jealous, man.
Yeah.
And the Marines, dude, they fly double ugly. They don't fly double ugly. They fly correctly, man. One wing or a drop tank on each station. I think they have the sniper pod, right? They put it right in the middle.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. Yeah.
So it even looks better.
Double ugly is horrible. Don't bring back those memories.
I know.
Such a horrible. I literally have a model of a Hornet over there. Somebody built for me, and they're like, "How would you like the drop tanks?" I'm like, "Off."
Right.
Don't put any of them on.
If you send it double ugly, I'm taking that pylon off, dude.
Jettisoned. That's how I'd like them to be.
Which double ugly, for you guys that don't know, is we would have a centerline tank, and then we would have a tank on the right wing because the AT FLIR was on the cheek on the left, and you would be in a left-hand turn, right, with the FLIR pod looking left, and you didn't want the tank there to block your view.
Yeah.
And it was that was the biggest problem with AT FLIR was that's where it had to go, is hard mounted. Whereas a lot of your other pods, you can mount it on any station, which it was politics. I'm told that.
What? No.
We got the AT FLIR.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, I hope the best for the Marines on that.
Yeah, same here, man. I think there's still time for them to wise up and buy a couple squadrons of Super Hornets, but what do I know?
Yeah.
Couple F's.
I know an old washed up fighter pilot that would train him.
Not me.
No.
Doug, you want to do are we getting a couple more chats or what?
We can go ahead and do a couple more topics if you want.
Got it. All right. Let's do Loyal Wingman. Oh yeah, dude. No 30-year-old drone wingman for the US Air Force. So kind of like we've been talking about, Loyal Wingman, drone technology. I get it, man. They need to essentially reduce the cost of war fighting, right? So the Air Force, I haven't heard much about this with the Navy, but the Air Force is kind of, in my mind, spearheading this. And basically, they don't want to spend a lot of money on these things. And you read the article, and I'm sitting here scratching my head thinking like, man, has there ever been a time when the Air Force is like, oh, we're going to go the cheap route? Right? I mean, everything they have seems to be gold plated, right?
Yep.
I don't think, I think it's like right? The back in the day, right, when the Tomcat guys are making fun of the Eagle guys, they called it the gold-plated sparrow shooter, right? So, the idea of making loyal wingmen expensive, I just think it's kind of inevitable. So with the article here, it reads the Air Force's aircraft fleet is replete with fighters, bombers, tankers, and other aircraft that are still flying after decades or even generations. But its service plan, collaborative combat aircraft, so CCA, drones that will fly alongside crewed fighters probably won't last even a single generation before they need to be replaced or heavily overhauled, said the chief of staff, Alvin. So that's kind of the crux of the whole article. There is his focus on making these things low cost. I don't think it's going to happen. I think like anything, like the F-16 started out as just guns and winder, and then it developed into now, hey, we'll put AMRAAM on it. Hey, we'll put laser bombs on it, FLIR pod on it. Now we're putting external tanks on it, right? You saw it kind of with the Hornet, right? Started out as the lightweight, cheap cost alternative to the Tomcat, and now it's like, right, it's the Super Hornet, it's the Growler, it's the tanker, it's the whole 9 yards. I don't know, Wombat, what do you think as far as future weapons being cheaper? What do you think?
Well, I think the whole idea of this is fundamentally flawed, right? Because you have the chief of staff or whoever that was in the article talking about how it's not going to last a generation or it has to be overhauled, so we need to make it cheap. Well, hold on a second. If you're focusing your warfighting efforts going forward and it's not going to last long, why are you focusing on that? Why don't you focus on the things that can last multi-generations and be upgraded, right? That's worked in the past. Why do we have to change everything? There are certain times, yes, if somebody says to me, well, we've always done it that way, that's not the correct answer. But if you're looking generationally down the line and you're like, well, this isn't going to last, so let's make it cheap, then maybe it's not the right fit for what you're looking for. And if your ultimate goal is to make war fighting cheaper, breaking news from the guy who's no longer in, so I can say whatever the hell I want, don't fight meaningless wars. That's the easiest way to be cheaper at war, is you don't go to meaningless wars and get involved in every country's problem that is not our problem. Let's worry about our own problems, and then we figure it out. So I think fundamentally, from a leadership standpoint, the whole thinking is flawed. If they really want to push this, and let's be honest, they do. Why? Because of the big corporations that have lobbyists that pay a lot of money, that then backfill the military. And it's this whole game of who can line whose pockets. And right now, the lining of the pockets is from drones. So that's where the effort's going to be. It has nothing to do, and it has never had anything to do with what's the best weapon for the operator. It never has. And it's never going to be, because there's too much politics roped into all of this. Because let's be honest, and I'm not saying this guy, because I have no idea who this chief of staff is or whatever his role is, but I'm saying is that leader that's up high that actually can make some of these decisions, well, he's already setting up his job at whatever government contract job when he retires. So he has a cush job there, right? So that's the issue with all this, right? So it fundamentally does not make any sense to me. You're like, this is the best thing, but it's not going to last, so don't make it expensive. But this is the best. It's like, well, then it's not the best thing.
Well, the other thing is, like, I would venture to say it's going to take at least 10 years to develop this thing, which
of course
it's going to take like a half a generation.
It likely means that it'll be obsolete before it ever gets created.
Yeah,
in a lot of respects.
I was reading through articles and stuff today while I was taking care of kids and whatnot. But you look at loyal wingmen, but then you look at like what they're doing with drones and AI, and like I was even, there's been some updates with the Doug, do you remember the AI F-16? What's that thing called? The X-62 or whatever?
Yeah, I can't think of it either, but I know what you meant.
Yeah, so there were some updates on how that thing's performing, and they're like it's doing exceptionally well. It's learning super fast, and it's getting really good at this dogfighting thing. And so I'm like, well, maybe it's just going to be like, maybe it's going to be loyal flight lead, and actually the wingman, the AI wingman is going to be doing the heavy lifting,
Maybe.
Because technology seems to be advancing at a pretty rapid pace. And I kind of get the impression, and I think also part of the reason why he doesn't want generational loyal wingman is they're probably going to be obsolete, kind of like you said, right? The technology is changing so fast, it needs to be, they need to keep up. But I just kind of wonder, man, the future of aerial warfare is definitely changing. When you look at drones,
100%.
AI, this whole idea of loyal wingman, which I think is kind of in my mind, is starting to get to be a bit of a dated idea. But I don't know, man. Maybe I'm sure they're going to blend it all together.
I worry about it because, again, unless you have somebody who has skin in the game and an operator in the field that can make that call, this becomes very, very, very dangerous when you just start lobbing missiles at each other from behind a desk.
You bring up a good point, man. I mean, it doesn't matter. War is always, it's waged by people, right? The weapons change, but it's still won or lost by, killing some dude and standing in his backyard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I look at this stuff and, like, literally, I know I've said, but I just think of, like, Terminator. I just think of the Terminator movies, man.
100%.
Because
100%.
At whatever point AI suddenly gets smarter than us, there's no you can't.
You don't turn it off. It's too late.
Because he's now smarter than you, right? So
yep.
I don't know. That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It is.
What do we got next? What do we got next, Doug?
Want to jump over to some chats?
Sure, let's do it.
Let's see. This is the one that was a question I figured it might take a minute.
Okay. KMC going up for rated board soon. Have a lot of self-doubt about the 10-year commitment. Often wonder if I should spend 4 years active doing something else and try to get a reserve or National Guard slot later. Any thoughts? Well, I'll tell you how I thought about it. At the time, I thought I'm locked in here for 10 years. And I was okay with that, in the sense that in my mind, if I got jets and got fighters, I was okay with 10 years being in. So to me, it didn't bother me. I didn't have a family at the time. I wasn't married at the time. It was just me. So, if I can see how that would create some anxiety, like if you had a wife and kids, because there's that's the biggest problem in my mind with, I'll call it the working class active duty route, is there's a lot of uncertainty. Because as Wambach can back me up, you're always 2 flights from failing out and losing your job. And at that point, it's like, anybody's guess on what's going to happen to you, where you're going to go. And if you have any kind of commitment family, it's really hard to plan around that. And that can create a lot of stress. So really, it depends on what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with going the guard or reserve route. Mover would tell you go guard. But honestly, it really depends on what you want to do with your military service. What do you think, Wombat?
I think you had a lot of good points. I think the other thing to look at is, you said it there, is, as long as you got fighters, you were okay with 10 years, right? Well, I didn't get fighters, but what that 10 years gave me is the opportunity to get to fighters, right? So it's all your mindset and how you look at things, right? And for me, I went, you know what? I didn't get it now. Maybe I'm not ready for it now, but I still want it. So getting, the 10 years really, and I mean, you look back at it, 10 years, like, I've been at the airlines almost 10 years. Wrap your brain around that. You know what I mean? It goes by so quick. So I thought about it at times where I'm like, this is a big commitment. But I'll be honest with you, I very rarely in my career, I stayed busy. Was I ever like, oh man, I still have this many years left? I was just kind of ticking along and doing my thing. So I wouldn't let your doubt affect you. I would, there's a reason you're there, right? If you're in this position, it's because at some point this was your dream, this was your passion. Don't let yourself ruin that, because there's no guarantee you're going to get a reserve or a guard slot later either, right? So you go do this 4 years of active duty, and then you go, man, there's no reserve spots. There's no guard spots, because maybe they look at this and go, well, why didn't you do it in the first place? Right? Who's this guy?
Right.
Do I want this bro in my squadron if he bailed once before? So now you look back at it in hindsight and you go, man, I wasted that. So
Yeah, and I'll also
say go for it.
Man, I'll also say you kind of don't know what you don't know. You said if I got jets. Well, I'm pretty certain that if I would have got helos or E2s or C2s or something else, I'm sure I would have had a very rewarding career.
100%.
Because you learn real quick because when you get in the air wing, you're around, the Helo Bubbas, E2, but right, you're all in the same, 5-acre party that's floating around on a nuclear reactor, right? So, you're just talking, having a good time, and you're all about the same age, same interests and stuff. So it's really more about the people and it's the camaraderie. So, again, I was in 2002. There's also perspective. So you and I joined right after 9/11, right? So we were in there right after 9/11. So just prior to 9/11, I was a flight instructor, CFI, trying to get on at the regionals because all my military attempts to get in had failed. I was like, well, I'll go fly airliners.
Sure.
And, for me, I was like, man, I was eating ramen and, sleeping on an air mattress. And the idea of I almost didn't look at it as like they got me for 10 years. I almost looked at it as like I got them for 10 years.
Exactly. Right. Well, yeah. And we've talked about that before where, during primary when the air sickness issues and all that, and they were like, you're going to get washed out. And I was like, dude, I got truck payment. Like,
right.
What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
I can't lose my job,
Right.
and it's a driving force. So I wouldn't necessarily look at something like this and just take it as a given. I'm not trying to sound like a doomsday guy, but I do think, the economy is not strong and potentially could go somewhere. And I mean, I have a buddy at work who, he has kids that are out in the real world now, finished college, have good jobs. And I'm like, man, we were talking about the housing market. And he's like, well, dude, they can't afford to save for a house because of how much stuff costs. And it's like, dude, I mean,
yeah.
What was the old 3 hots and a cot? There's something to be said for that.
3
too.
hots and a flop,
It's like, man,
Yeah. No, you're right. Look, you're going to have a house and food. That's how because I came from literally sleeping on an air mattress, just barely just scraping by. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. 10 years is nothing, man. Go nuts.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Thank you, though. Ether says, Moore's most embarrassing moment from the team. You're ready to go.
It's worth a lot more than $5. I'll tell you that.
I tell you what,
I like this job. I don't want to get fired.
I'm sure Doug has some embarrassing stuff. I think the most embarrassing time, at least on this show of Mover, is somebody wrote in Wombat, you were on too as a guest. Somebody wrote in, hey, tell us about a funny time on deployment. And you told your story about, being in port, and I told one of my stories, and they were like, Mover, go ahead. And he's like, I can't really think. I'm like, you are not selling the Air Force Reserve right now, bro. You are not. So it embarrassed him. He edited it out of the clip.
Did he really?
Yeah. Put it up. So I think it's kind of funny. But now that I've said that, this is probably my last episode. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I've never had an embarrassing moment with Mover. I think he runs a great show. I appreciate him having me on every time. I think it's amazing that you would say something like that. I mean,
dude,
we should probably move on. I'll apologize for Gonky for that. That was just.
Hey, man, that's my story. Doug, you got anything, or you're throwing a little T4? I get it.
No, I am. I played the fifth on this one.
You played the fifth, dude. I love it. We miss you, Mover. It's not the same without you, man.
Yeah, it's not.
I feel like the balance of power has been knocked out of balance.
Yeah.
Wombat caught that one when it went by.
Oh, yeah. The inspection's going away. Yeah. I mean, there should be inspection. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Bob. Sorry. I got to read it. Bob, wait a minute. This is the first that inspections went away. I suffered the GO. Yeah. The GOB, the kids must too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. JP, wow, thank you. Evening, Gonky. I have the very same knee issue. Really? Problem with the injection shots is if they work. For you, they take a few weeks to kick in. Career question for you, Wombat. Thoughts on working on a sub? Congratulations on the success of the show. Well, thank you. I'm sad that you had the same knee problem with me. And yes, they told me it would take, if it works, they told me it would take a few weeks. So Wombat, your thoughts of working on a sub? What do you think?
Hats off to people that are willing to do that. I couldn't stand being on a carrier for too long. Like, I would get itchy if I didn't go fly off a carrier. And I had friends that were doing like the nuke stuff, and the reactor stuff, and they would be like, "Why don't you come down and see it?" And they take it. I don't know if you ever went down and saw like a reactor tour, and like you see the people that like are like as white as the door behind me. You're like, have you been outside? So I mean, hats off to them. I mean, they're a different. It's a different breed, and it has to be. I mean, it has to be. I ended up in the reserves when I stopped flying. I ended up working for a guy who was a sub guy, and you could just tell. He's very, very methodical, very checklist oriented. I mean, it had to be, and it's like, well, yeah, because your whole world is surrounded by a media that you can't breathe in, so you better not screw it up. You know, at least in our world, it's like, well, get a jail-free card and hope the parachute works, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like, oof. I mean, literally tonight. My wife was reading a book to my son, and it talked about submarines and how they could deploy for 6 months or whatever. And I was like, woof. And she looked at me. She was like, "Is that true?" And I was like, I was like, "Oh, thanks." So, yeah. I mean, I'm glad people do it. It's a very important mission. I'm just happy I didn't have to be one of the people. It's not my aptitude at all.
Yeah. And JP, there's some smart cats, right? So I had a really smart buddy that I grew up with. He was an engineer, went to college to be an engineer, went the nuke officer route, and he actually did not make it through the final part of training because it's very difficult. Like Wombat said, you don't want to screw up with the reactor thing. Bad things happen. So very bad things can happen. Yeah, people start glowing, things go boom, right?
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, so you know, it's funny, literally, like if you put a bunch of, like if you just had an auditorium and you had picked like 10 representatives from each community in the Navy, you could almost be like, okay, you could definitely like those guys are SEALs.
Yeah.
Because those guys are aviators, 100%. And then you could totally tell the nuke guys. I've talked to them. Nice people. When we would go out to eat, so we would go to the ship's wardroom.
Yeah, wardroom 3, right?
Yes, sorry.
Whatever one's the dirty wardroom, the one downstairs.
The one downstairs. So we'd go out to eat sometimes. We'd go downstairs, right?
Yeah.
Where the food was good. They told us it's the same food, but my taste buds don't lie. So we'd go down there, and like you said, man, we just sit there, and it was kind of like people watch time because you're a little bit out of your environment as a
100%
as a bag wearer pilot type. Because all ships companies down there, and there's a SWOs down there, the nuke, and like you can definitely tell, like those nuke types, they're a type 100%.
Did you still have it where like if somebody came to the table, like they had to ask permission to sit and stuff when you were in that wardroom, like from the SWOs and from the nukes and stuff? Because they would do that on my carriers, and I'm like,
no,
I do not need to be eating here. Like I need to be in the place where I can be like, "CAG, what's up?" You know, like because I will say something stupid.
I saw that on the Antietam. There's a whole protocol, and I'm sure on on subs there's an entire. I mean, they have their own history and heritage.
100%. 100%.
You know, I guess long answer short is I think that they do a very important job. There's no way I could do it.
Oh no, God, no, no chance.
No, not a sub guy. I stay above
like
the
get
water.
outside. Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned the different personalities because there was a video that I did. I think it was the last LSO video clip that you guys posted of the Lao catching the wire when I was on last time.
Yep.
And somebody in the comments is like, "Don't call them boats. You guys don't did you see that comment? It's like, you guys don't realize how dumb or whatever, how I'm paraphrasing. It sounds it's a ship and I wanted to write in the I wouldn't, but I was so close to writing like, tell me you were a SWO without telling me you were a SWO. Like, it's so obvious. It's like, dude, come on, bro. Like,
we say
when have
boat.
you heard an aviator? It's a term of endearment.
We say boat on purpose.
Yes. It's not because we're ignorant.
Yes.
Not because we're ignorant.
It's because we're immature little children. So
better than you. That's
there it is. There it is. I'm not going to bully anybody today. I'm just not. Mover's not here. I'm just not going to bully you. I'll let Wombat.
I'll take it. The balance of power has shifted.
Oh, dude, that's a cool little thumbnail. B58.
Yeah.
Zenith says, gotta be at least $7 worth.
That's hilarious.
I think that was in reference to the Marines upgrading.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's funny.
Wow. Thank you. Appreciate it. Steve says, all jokes aside, this is the only channel on YouTube I'll set my clock for. Wow. Thank you. Huge props for everything you do for this community, especially all in need of mental support. You all are amazing.
Thank you, guys. Steve. It's Mover and Gonky. It's not me.
No, it's Wombat. All the guests, man. Right? I mean, we get just as many Wombat requests as we do. We'll see.
Not as many as Mace. Not as many as Mace. Let's be honest.
Now, honestly, you guys are neck and neck, dude. Hey, you know what? Good performance on this show. You might just pull a lead. So
you could do worse.
Yeah, Doug will tell you could do worse.
Being in the same sentence with Mace would make me happy.
Yeah. No, to even be a contender against her is. I'm
she's pretty amazing, man. I read. Mover sent me some of her stuff today. I was reading, and she does a lot of, mindset kind of stuff. And I'm like, damn it, Mace.
It sucks about me. Yeah, it sucks because she says the things that are hard to hear, but she's right.
Yeah, but she's 100% right.
It's her passion. She's fantastic at it. And I saw a post. She made a post about something. Blah blah blah. But why didn't you go to airlines? And she made a comment.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
She set herself up to go for her passion, and I was like, 100%, and it fits her so well.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
I'd love to be on the show with her. I think it'd be fun. We'd have probably a lot of interesting conversations. But anyway, moving on.
You digress.
I digress.
Kate again. Bravo Wombat. Courageous words, no meaningless. Yeah, 100%.
If only.
We don't want to get
that's coming directly from somebody who fought in them for 20 years, and then it turns out it wasn't worth much.
At least 2 of them.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kate.
That also weren't. Oh God, what a waste. Anyway, yeah.
Just thought I'd throw that in.
And that's why we have Doug. I love it. Oh, dude.
I love that we've added any airline or pilots union. It's like, where am I going with this stuff? Anyway.
Yes, views presented are our own. All right, cool. Is that it for the
there's more. I'm trying to space them out. You want to do another story?
What are we doing next? Let's talk
about I remember the first time I saw this one.
Yeah. Okay. So sad day, man. It's the I can't believe it's the Wombat. It's the 30th anniversary.
That's insane.
Of Bud Holland crashing this B-52. So being 30 years ago, I mean, everybody knows the story, right? Lieutenant Colonel, rogue Lieutenant Colonel, if you will. He did a lot of unsafe stuff in the B-52, and he never really got disciplined for it. And eventually, it killed him. And I think, 4 or 5 other, 4 other guys perished with him. So, if any good came out of it, it highlighted basically a lot of deficiencies in leadership. Shocker.
Glad we fixed those.
Yeah, glad we fixed that. Well, the scary part is, you would think like, okay, this can never happen again because it's such graphic footage, right? I mean, dude, he's knife edging this B-52, and it's practice for an air show.
Yeah,
and
there's no chance this works out from early on in the video. Like, it's so obvious,
right? And I mean, Doug, scroll up a little more. Look at this. I mean, look at the destruction on the ground. No, scroll. Sorry, the other way.
Yeah,
I mean dude, there right for it. Just mushes into the ground, right? One of the doors pops off as, one of the guys tries to eject, but it's too late. And it's just like, it's a heartbreaking story because if you look, they say, it's all Swiss cheese, right? Things kind of line up. If you just look at Holland's history of breaking the rules, just basically dangerous flying with this kind of airplane, totally preventable. and it wasn't prevented. And these guys paid with their lives, and destroyed an expensive piece of equipment. And it's just very sad that it happened. And I guarantee you, man, 30 years. It's been 30 years, but the families and friends are still affected by it, and that's the sad part.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's when I it's funny, you sent me the links and I was like, it can't be this. And I clicked on it and I was like, it's so somebody wrote it, and I had heard this, and I'm not super smart on this, but like the original crew wouldn't fly with the guy. So it wasn't it like a skipper and what we would call a skipper stepped in?
Yeah.
Then and it was supposed to, it's like,
they at lower levels, they tried to mitigate his behavior, but the perception was, well, leadership lets him get away with this stuff because it was multiple things.
There's that L word that we throw around that people don't know the meaning.
Leadership.
Yeah.
And nobody would step in to stop him. And so, they just, they kind of threw their hands up like, well, if they don't care, I don't care. And it even talks about, he was even influencing the younger new pilots on doing dumb, dangerous, and different stuff, right? The 3 things we're never supposed to do: dumb, dangerous, or different. And it was just bad, and I'm sure Bud was a great guy. I'm sure I don't know him personally. I'm not bashing him personally, but his performance as a military pilot got some people killed, and it didn't have to. And it's just it's crazy to think it's 30 years ago, man. Doug, you said you remember it, man. You got any thoughts on this one?
It was the first time I ever heard the phrase normalization of deviance. And
oh yeah.
The buffs are so big. It was just so dramatic to watch.
Yeah.
I can't unsee the video.
Yeah. Like Wombat said, you knew from the instant you saw it, like there's no way it's coming. That's just going to happen now.
It's too far.
That was really awful.
And it's sad they didn't punch earlier, honestly, because I think, there's that, and they've done case studies on that, right? I'm sure this guy thought he could pull it out. That plane was long gone before it was anywhere near. So,
what if it to death? It's just sad, like you said, Doug. It's like such a massive. And the thing though, I think it mentions it. This article talks about. It has like all of the things that highlighted him as a dangerous pilot, and it's pretty eye-watering. But this I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but right, the C-17 that crashed getting ready for the air show in Alaska, was that right? Is that right? I think Washington. I don't know. The C-17 that crashed getting ready for the air show. Kind of similar stuff. Hot dogging it at low altitude in an airplane that you probably shouldn't be doing that stuff. And
dude, you were a demo pilot. Like I was never a demo pilot. The Navy was smart enough not to let me do that. But like everybody knows about my flybys with the E2 and what Nasty talked about. And I pushed the envelope, but you did it in a way that it was progressive and you learned from each thing and all that. But I guarantee you there were times when you were doing demo stuff where you probably pushed harder and where it's like, that was close, and you backed off and went, okay, I learned my lesson on that. And it's just, some people don't, and it's like, and I hate to say it, and I am not trying to stereotype different communities, but dude, some of these guys and girls that didn't get jets, they're always going to fly it like it's a jet. And it's like, dude, it's not.
Oh, I've read it before. He flew it like a fighter. I'm like, that's dangerous.
But you didn't, because it's a B-52. It's not a fighter. But, it's sad.
Yeah. Hey, Doug, I see you pulling up the Southwest there. Let me try to play it.
Roger that.
So I think it'll be smoother. So the next thing we're going to take a look at, Wombat, which you probably have seen, is.
Oh, yeah.
Can you guys see that? Is it sharing yet? Oh, no, wait, I got to share it. Is it sharing?
Remember, don't show your.
Yeah, I shared yours.
Learn that.
Oh, you did? Okay. You shared. Can you do that?
Are you in the market for a 2024 Santa Fe, by the way? I don't
know. How are you in my computer, Doug?
Once you put it on the table, I can do stuff with it.
I
can't hit play.
Technology is grinding to a halt as we speak right now.
We'll go full screen. All right.
This is only a few days ago.
Yeah. So thumbnail sketch here. Obviously, Southwest has been kind of in the news last couple of weeks for some things that are happening. Mover and I have talked about a little bit on previous shows as far as, maybe there's something going on with the training and whatnot. So basically, going into Oak City, it appears that they descended pretty low, thinking that maybe they were close to the airport and they weren't. So this is a little thing by Vast Aviation. We won't watch the whole thing, just kind of the highlight here of what happened, and then we'll chat about it. Can you guys hear it?
Yeah.
4069, clear visual approaching 13, remains frequency clear to land. Clear for visual 13, stay with you and clear to land, southwest 4069.
And this is at night.
Oh, yeah. Very late, right?
Yeah.
4069, low altitude alert. You good out there?
Never want to hear
Yeah,
that.
we're going around 4069.
So there's an overlay. So pretty far from the airport.
You want to go around and come back for 13? You're going to continue with the approach? Yeah, we'll come back around through to 17. You mind? Okay, 17 right? Yeah, we'll do that. 4069, maintain 3000, and it'll be like a right 180 turn right, heading of 360, maintain 3000 for only once to the right. All right, right turn 360, southwest 4069.
And then, yep, they get vectored around.
4069, turn right, heading 050. Right turn 050.
All right, I'll pause it. How do I start? Here we go.
I do have one question. Did you watch it to the end? Did they shoot a visual to 17, or did they set up for an instrument approach?
Visual. Well, they called the runway in sight. They landed.
I'm just curious.
That's what I remember. So, have you flown in there, Wombat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you flown in there at night?
Not recently, but enough that it's not a whole lot different than a lot of the places out there. Everything's pretty flat, right? It's real easy to lose SA to where you are. Going into Little Rock's one of my favorites when they clear you for the visual 50 miles out. And you're like, well, I'm not going to do that.
So Oak City is one of the places I've been into numerous times, and having been there, like, I can see how this could happen. I think it's Tinker. I wanted to see I was looking at the map, but there's a couple airfields there that, like, if you're not careful, just visually looking, you can be like, because whether you've got the autopilot going full up or if the other guy's flying, I always like to, for my own essay, I like to look out. Okay, is that the airport? Then I look on the screen, the digital screen. Yeah, that's it, right? So, but there's been times I've gone into Oak City and I'm like, I think that's the field, and I look, I'm like, oh no, wait, it's over here. And my point is,
I was wondering if it. I don't know if it's Tinker. What I was wondering is if it was a highway.
Or that's been the other speculation. You're right, because I looked before the show. I got on SkyVector or whatever, and I was looking, and there's no 17 a field out there at all. I usually get it mixed up. There's a pretty big strip just to the north of Oak City there that your eyeball can kind of climb off on. But I guess my real question, I'm not, I know some guys at South, I haven't asked, but I'm curious, man, whether it's late at night or in the bright of day, going into any field, even if it's a less, if you're going into like JFK, whatever, you probably, full up everything. But do you ever just turn it off and go visual? I mean, I would think that you always have some sort of guidance on that feeds into the flight director that will get you to the right runway.
So my airline's policy is, if there's an underlying approach, you will have it loaded for this right reason. I, especially at night, especially when I'm tired, am an air traffic controller's worst nightmare, because I just won't call the field in sight, period, until I'm on final. And I've done that. I've done that here at the airport. I landed all the time. Yeah, sorry guys, don't have it. And then as I roll out on final, I'm like, yeah, I got as we're on the glide slope path coming down. I'm like, yeah, sure, you could say I got it now, but it's one of those things where I'm like, it's not worth it. Like, to me, and I teach it, and you're gonna love this. It's an old Hornet saying: flying a visual in the airline world is like dropping a bomb. You can only break even. If you do it perfectly, nobody's going to pat you on the back for your awesome visual approach. But if you
100%.
screw it up, they're going to be all in your chili. And I'm sure these poor guys have a lot of heat on them right now. So
yeah, I mean, I remember in the Hornet, the first couple of cross countries I did, going into like Fort Worth, like at night, dude, without any, there's no way there's no way I can tell what's a runway, what's a highway, what's a like, I'm just really surprised that at night, and I know these guys were tired, that they didn't have some sort of guidance pulled up, and I don't know like what their procedures are or whatever, but that's the only thing that's kind of, that makes me scratch my head. But hey, the moral of the story, the good part of the story is, like, the system worked, right? I mean,
so that is the thing. And we don't know exactly what happened. It'll come out. They went around.
Yeah. Well, and also
at the end of the day, they went around.
Well, and also the air traffic controller, and he's like, hey, low altitude alert. You guys okay out there? I mean, that's
how it should work. So
that's right. So, if yeah, I mean, if 500 feet, 600 feet, whatever it is, I mean, that's pretty low. I mean, the only time you're that low in an airliner is when you're climbing out, passing that, or
trying to remember how to flare. I know,
or a few seconds from flaring to land, right? So, like, I wonder, like, man, if ATC wouldn't have stepped in, like, how far would that have gone before?
I'm surprised. I mean, unless they just didn't have a rated decent, I'm surprised they weren't already getting pull-ups and terrain warnings and all that. I'm shocked at that. What was it, 500-600 feet above the ground?
That's what it said, 600 foot.
They were dead level.
Yeah,
how is that chip was not going off? I mean,
Oklahoma's pretty flat.
Still, they're low. I mean,
yeah.
So,
plus, maybe they did.
On which direction you're pointed. I mean, a lot of them will go off with looking at obstacles too. So, like, you look at that. I'm not as familiar with where the city is, but if there's because we've had, not we as our airline, but there have been people in this area that the city has pinged them for low altitude, and it's the buildings.
See, if we had Mover, who's a 7.3 quasi expert, we could ask him. Be like,
he is far more of a SME than I will ever be on the 7.3. I promise you.
I know. I'm proud of that. That's a goal of mine. That's a goal of mine. But
if I ever fly a plane that doesn't auto trim for me, something is wrong with my head. So
we'll there's an investigation going. It's going to come out. It's going to get sent out to everybody who flies an airliner, for all of us to learn. And 100%, I don't know how it could happen, but I'm not immune to these kind of mistakes. So, like,
100%. And that's what aviation is all about. I'm glad they did the right thing. At the end of the day, all jokes aside, thanks for pushing the power up and making the houses smaller and making the right call.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what passengers and people on the ground rely on us to do. So
Doug, let's do the let's do some of these, and then we'll do the Hornet Barricade next.
Nice.
That's cool.
Nice.
Too bad. Hey, Shanghai. Hey, boys, congrats on a year of awesome contact. Great fun. Your #1 rating attack, Shanghai. Dude, Shanghai, we got to have you back on the show, man. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your support. It's awesome. Salty Vet Dad. The Chinese will steal that AI-16 program in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Maybe that's the whole point.
I don't know.
Maybe we'll plug in bad stuff and they can steal it.
Maybe they got one.
Maybe this is all espionage going on. It's beautiful. It's not.
That's a cool picture of an F-16. Colton, do you guys think that with all the problems and delays that Fat Amy's had, it would have been smarter to just upgrade all legacies and other 4th gen fighters and lengthen their lifespan? Well, the 4th gen fighter pilot in me is like, well, of course, but I'm not ignorant enough to think that there does need to be the next generation. So, I'm happy that they moved forward with F-35, just armchair quarterbacking it, having all the answers. They could have done a totally better job, but yeah, I don't know. Upgrading legacies, they've been doing that their entire lifespan. The Hornets that Wombat and I flew 10 years ago are not the same Hornets that are flying today. They've been upgraded and are better. Even Fat Amy's that first rolled off the line, right? They're continually upgrading those things. So it's kind of the name of the game in the warfighting business, but
I think you need to do both.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
You need to advance the technology, but you also have to upgrade what you got.
Yeah.
I think where Fat Amy really gets the bad rap is it's just the next line in the jack of all trades, master of none, really. And the Hornet started that, right? The Super Hornet continued it, right? The Air Force has their version. I mean, it's like, dude, we were so lethal when you had mission specific aircraft, because then you could really focus that aircraft. I mean, it's like the Hornet was great to fly, but like, what mission did it do really good? Like, I mean, the best of anybody. Well, not really anything. What it did was being a multi-role fighter, right?
Yeah, it was really good at doing a lot of things. Pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. So the more we go down that path, I mean, that's where I think it hurts more.
Yeah.
But I do think you have to do both. You have to have that cutting edge technology. Think F-22 when it came out, all that stuff, like the crazy, just like what, like where the other aviators, you see it and you're like, it can do what? But you also need to upgrade what you got, because that technology takes a long time to develop.
Plus, 4th gen stuff's kind of the backbone, right? It's tried and true. We know it. We got it all doped out. 5th gen stuff is kind of the new toy. So thanks, Colton. Appreciate it. Hey, Jay, what defines a legacy jet? That just mean
guys like us flew it.
Yeah. If legacy is fighter pilot speak for legendary, the words are interchangeable. So,
yes. So
yeah, legacy just means the original version.
Yeah.
Like the original version.
Do they refer to that though? Like, I mean, do Vipers, are there legacy Vipers, or is that more of a Hornet thing?
I think it's more a Navy thing.
Yeah. That's why it's better.
Viper, like the Air Force community, it's block.
They don't ever keep anything old enough that they need a legacy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you're right. I've never heard the term legacy.
I think that was more of a Navy or specifically Hornet thing.
Yeah.
But
thanks,
it sounds so good though.
Legendary. Sounds so good. Plexi Mover is sensing a disturbance in the force.
Oh, he is losing it right now in his training. He feels itchy.
He's probably in the middle of a D1 cut.
Probably, which is probably all done automatically on that plane.
Yeah.
He just sits there and watches.
That's right. That's right.
Yep. Lost the motor. It told me I lost. Cool.
Gundam Blade. I'm waiting on your book, Bullying Pictures with Gonky, dude. That's funny, man.
I mean, it would be educational, right?
It would be.
I'd have a lot of pictures,
Hey, if you're a SME in an area, you run with it. Okay.
Yeah. Would you buy it? Because I'll make it. I'll get Wombat's kid to promote it for me.
$20 is $20.
$20. Come on. Thank you. Salty Vet, my dad was in a Navy squadron, refused to fly as an air crewman because the squadron was so unsafe.
We had in my E2 squadron, we had a pilot that some NFOs refused to fly with.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's that great thing being the schizo.
Well, there's that famous, unfortunate COD video that you can watch on YouTube. They stuffed the generator in the C2, and the original crew was like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that. And the CO is like, I'll do it. And of course, cat fired, straps broke. And long story short,
CG shifted and everybody died.
Yeah, everybody died.
The sad part of that story is what we were told is the generator came through the cockpit before the plane hit the water.
Yeah, exactly. So they were killed by their cargo smashing them before the water smashed them. So very sad. But hey, Salty Vet, I mean, your dad is that's awesome that he had
probably smart move.
The smarts, and it's good that in a command, even that he feels that he can make that call and not not fear making that call too much. So there's a lot of places where people are like, I better not. So but yeah, thank you though. Charles Daniels. Yes.
Yes.
Wombat shirt order. Truly appreciate you guys. Keep up the great work. Congrats on 52. Dude, Charles,
they believed the story and it's working. No, I'm kidding. It's a true story. I swear it's a true story.
You just
Please
made
don't ask for your
Wombat
money back.
You made little Wombat's day right there. Thank you very
You will.
much.
I will play this, and he's going to be like, "Wait, do I get that money?" I guarantee it.
I want my cut. Putting a link in the
Get your
chat.
own logo.
That's right. Doug gets a cut. By the time your kid gets a cut, it'd be like a quarter.
It's not much more than I get, to be honest with you.
Garrett, I'm off to OCS Sunday. Thank you guys for the content every week. All your advice on podcasts, I'll take it with me, hopefully, to be a good officer. Thank you, Garrett. That's awesome, man. Dude, just remember, OCS is a game you got to get through. Get through it. Don't hurt yourself physically. Get through there with some decent health.
From somebody who hurt himself physically,
right?
At OCS,
it's real easy in OCS to be like, oh, I'm gonna do 300 push-ups. If you fake it at 100, they'll believe you. Trust me. So don't rip your shoulders out trying to do push-ups forever. But that's awesome, man. I'm excited for you. You're embarking on a really cool future. So best of luck to you, dude. And hey, we'll see you when you come back, hopefully.
Yeah.
On the show. So
that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Scano, is Growler Life actually
go look at the YouTube videos? I mean, my goodness.
They have some Growler Jams has some good videos too. So I was too busy.
Dude.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, the Growler community was super new kind of when I got out. I know the Prowler community was pretty fun. I enjoyed hanging out with those guys. But yeah,
it's a party bus, man. Grumman made party bus. Of course it's fun.
Now it's a Boeing made much shorter party bus.
Shorter bus. It's a Boeing made short bus.
Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, but who's the other guy? Outbound Course? Is that he's got a big Instagram worth following Growler guy. It's legit.
Yeah. Modman. How tough rough can IPs be? Monku who flew F-16 says that when he went through UPT in the 70s, IPs would kick the back of your seat in 38. Yeah, I don't know.
You could do that in a 38?
I can't remember. I never tried to kick the seat. And plus, I was always in the front. I guess Mover did. Yeah. I don't know. I will tell you this. When Wombat and I went through, we were both in the same class at Vance in the T-37. You sit next to one another. And the only time I ever had any physical
don't say abuse. You'll trigger people.
Physical meandering for contact from the IP was there was and I loved flying with him. He was a B1, ex-B1 guy, but he would freak out on you and he would grab my mask. What are you thinking? And I'm like, you're trying to fly and, your face is hitting your lap and the top of the stick. And I loved him though, because he gave me good grades. But that's really and in the Navy, the only physical stuff is sometimes IP would grab the stick rather violently if you were really screwing up. And they'd shake.
Sometimes that was necessary.
Correct. And it would, they would shake you pretty good. And you knew that you were being not so good. So,
it's not. So I've been on both sides of this because in the tweet, more than once did I get hit with a knee board on my helmet to wake me up. Like, hey, man. But then, like in the T-45, man, I had this student once and he went on to a great career. But like, he was just so abrupt. And like, he was the guy at BFM that you would try to help. And you're like, okay, man, I'm going to tell you when to brake. When I tell you to brake, you brake, right? Because, I mean, dude, like single seat, whatever. If somebody says brake, you brake. Like, and I literally teach that to my son now. I'm like, you want to be a Blue Angel? Brake right. And he goes left. I'm like, you're dead, right? Like, and you play, like you can't think, right? Don't think, just do. So this guy was having to struggle with this. So I go, hey, man, let me show you something real quick. I'm like, we're going to brake left. Okay. You ready? Brake left. And I brake right. And I just bang his head off the canopy. And I was like, that is what you've been doing to me for this whole flight. How does that feel? And he's like, sir, that's horrible. I was like, you're welcome for the lesson. Now listen. But sometimes it takes that. You know what I mean? Like, and I needed it as a student and he never did it again. It woke him up pretty damn fast. So, I mean, it's some of it is, it's just like anything. Like some IPs are just so full of themselves that they're doing it for their own ego. Whereas I think others use some things to be like, hey, I'm trying to help you out here, man. Like Like, help me help you. You know what I mean? Like, stop banging my head off the canopy.
Nowadays, it's probably not like, who knows, but hopefully they're still doing some of that because, like you said, there's a time and a place for it.
Yeah, 100%.
Thanks, Mod.
100%.
Appreciate it.
So you want to grab the last two, or you want to go?
Dude, let's
grab them, and
yeah,
then we'll
let's
do the videos because there's going to be some from those videos, I bet.
Yeah, let's
Right.
knock these two out. Yeah, we'll do the Hornet video next. Patrick, bought the Rattler books, marking on this show were great fun. Thank you. Very cool to learn more about the E2. Not as sure, but I think it should go to the toys. That's awesome. Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Do you know what that means?
Renee, yes. Renee, yes, I got it. I'm sorry. I saw you reached out to me. I just haven't had a chance to get back to you. I got it, and I will get back to you this week. Promise.
It's interesting. We're all waiting to hear.
Nah, let's go right to the Hornet Barricade, man. That's probably, we'll do that, and then probably the mental health.
This one.
Yeah, here, let me.
Is that a video? Do you want to do it?
Yeah,
this video. Dude.
This is pretty cool. Only
is...
because every time we have Wombat on, he's a
angel in white.
He's an angel in white, an LSO. And I'm like, man, we've got to leverage his knowledge. So so this is the very first. Can you guys see this?
It'll come up here in a second, I'm sure. There it goes.
Got it. Okay.
It's funny how that just keeps happening.
Doug, thank you, sir. So this is the first barricade of an F-18. I think it happened in '94
on the Nimitz.
On the Nimitz. Nose gear wouldn't come down, so they barricade. This guy's a Marine, and I'll play the video. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, dude, it's insane.
Yeah, we're not gonna watch all 4 minutes, but most of it's covered. And here we go.
Yeah, 207. Did you lose that engine? Fluctuating on the on that engine. Roger that. Bring it back around.
Dude, I started breathing heavy watching this.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
My son's like, he sounds scared, and that chime.
Yeah,
dude, hit pause real quick. Tell me if that chime does not still freak you. Okay.
Yes, I immediately looked to my left where the DDI would be, but yes.
Yep. Oh man, it is crazy.
And what's your stake now? 300 pounds. Not yet.
So can we pause that just for a second? Let's put this in perspective.
Oh, dude.
Because I'm watching this with my wife, and she's like, 300 pounds. I was like, let me tell you, that's about 40 gallons.
Yeah. And
right?
hey,
give or take.
What did we plan for one lap around the pattern at the boat? Was it 600 pounds?
I think it was 600 minimum.
Do you remember? Yeah.
So he's half of that.
Oh, dude.
But the crazy part is, dude, it's so I put it in perspective. I'm like, a T-45 fully loaded out, 2,800 pounds.
Yeah.
Right. A Hornet was what, 10 and change with no drop tanks?
Yeah, no tanks was about 10.5 internal with the drop tank, maybe 12.7, I think.
Yeah. And he's down to
300
pounds of gas. He is a large American worth of fuel. That's it.
Yeah.
And the reason he went around on the first one is because, that engine fluctuated a little bit. It's because it's fuel starving itself.
That's the deedle is the cautions that are coming up associated with low fuel, which is because the Hornet uses fuel to cool a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Anyway, sorry.
No.
300 pounds.
No one.
That's the rat out, so that's okay.
Call the ball. Roger ball, 23 knots down the angle.
He is not wasting any comms right now. He's like...
Cut.
I mean, he gets right in there, man. No dragging it in.
Hold on a minute.
Cut. Check. Okay, secure your engine.
Check fuel. I love that. Did you hear that at the end?
I did. There's some great footage. Right.
Of LSOs. You need to play that. I mean,
No, here.
Because you don't fully appreciate what he's doing.
You see this? 97, sorry.
97.
So no nose gear. Wow.
Beautiful. And then watch everybody clap. I love it. I love the Navy. Go Navy.
Congrats. Yeah, you live to see another day.
Yeah. The only service in the military where you can land a 2 landing gear aircraft onto a boat caught by a net, and you'll have people up there like
it's like a golf game. Bravo.
Exactly. Well played, sir. Well played. Mid-range? No. Yeah.
Dude, obviously I've only seen them practice rigging the barricades. So barricading an airplane, obviously a big deal. I guess I'm curious as an LSO. I don't know, man. As an LSO, what'd you pull out of that video?
So, I mean, well done, first of all, right? I mean, think about the first time ever a Hornet, right? So every aircraft's different, right? And back then, the Hornet was a tiny fighter compared to the things that they're used to seeing. You know, I mean, you have S3s and A6s and F-14. I mean, it was a small plane comparatively. Right. So you've got your LSOs. Likely at that point, you've got both CAG paddles up on the platform, right? Very few other people up there. Thank God it's daytime. Looked like a relatively steady sea state. This guy has been working for a long time. It's not like I mean, if he's at 300 pounds, like they have been trying to get that gear down, doing everything possible for a very long time. And at some point it's like, well, we have the option of you're either going to try to barricade him or you're going to eject. And I guarantee you part of that decision was because it was a new jet. It was a Hornet. We're not just going to punch out and lose a Hornet, right? We'll bring them aboard. This is what we do. So, but if it's right at the beginning, but he comes in on the first one and then the plane and I don't know if the engine spooled down, remember, like you would potentially go into mech.
Yeah.
You lost an engine. So it almost looks like he momentarily goes into mech the way like the nose kind of wanders as somebody who's flown the Hornet in mech, and you probably have too, I'm sure. But, and then he kind of recovers and they wave him off immediately. Great call. It's like, dude, don't mess with it because you have that net, the wave off window is so far out. Like you cannot bring that jet close because the biggest threat you have is catching the landing gear that are down or the tail hook or whatever at the top of the stanchions. Because now the guy's going to die. I mean, he's going to slam into the deck and that's it. You're done. It's a fireball and you just lost. So they taught us, the wave off window is insanely out on this. But I mean, now you're in a situation where dude has 300 pounds. Like I guarantee you, if he doesn't go, he knew if he did not stop on that pass, he was ejecting. Right. And as somebody who at least twice, maybe 3 times in my career, I had the thought that I may have to eject and I had enough times to think about it. That's a extremely uncomfortable situation to be in. Like to have that thought on the back of your head of like, I may have to punch out of this aircraft. So he has all that pressure. He has all the deedles going of the systems that are falling off because of the cooling, because of likely, engines not 100%. I mean, if you look at him as he slides out, one of the cans is closed and one's open. So I don't know if he lost that engine. Very well might have lost that engine at some point in there. Unbelievable job. Great cut calls, by the LSO. And if you hear, and it took me a few times to get this, but there was an almost right for lineup call, but the guy stopped himself. So right as he's in there and the LSO is screaming cut, there's another voice that comes on and you hear like a right and he stops. And that's the LSO trying to get him back on center line. But he also is smart enough to realize tiny jet, take what we got. Because I don't need a guy doing the big wing down and making it. He had it. They knew you were in the wires. I mean.
Hey, and cut is just idle, right?
Yes. You just pull him to idle.
And so what Wombat was talking about with mech fluctuations. So multi-engine airplane is designed to run the hydraulics if one engine fails. And I can't remember what it was, but if you were single engine the Hornet, you had to keep it was a good idea to keep the throttle up, I think above 1900 pounds per something like that,
Yep.
to keep
So you wouldn't.
the switching valves from
Mhm.
fluctuating back and forth, because when they would fluctuate, sometimes you would that's when you would get the inconsistencies in the control surfaces. And I could actually we had a switching valve failure on my deployment Marine jet, and Apu, he had to eject. It almost killed him. He was 1,500 feet inverted, like 30 degrees nose down, ejected, and survived. But yeah, so man, watching this as somebody who flew the Hornet, I'm just like when I first watched it, I was like, oh man, he's high. Like I thought that he was, but when you watch the outside view, I mean, he just nailed it, man. It's incredible.
And honestly, for my liking, now I haven't been actively waving in a few years, but for my liking, like maybe a little bit too
lower,
high.
a little too high.
I mean, dude, like, I mean,
this is
but here's
this is nitpicking here, dude.
Yeah, 100. But here's the other thing, and it just, as I'm saying that, I'm realizing what I'm saying. Like, he had no nose gear.
No nose gear, yeah.
So I mean, you probably do wave that a little differently now that I think about it, because you don't want that nose to touch down, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
it was literally perfect, man. I mean, he literally
100%.
like a swish right
He
through the
flew
net.
right into it.
Yeah, which is wild. I still think it's crazy that they can
we
catch
do
airplanes.
that's a
Catch
thing.
airplanes with nets. I know.
How about the E2 has its own net? Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. There's a special Hawkeye barricade.
No, there's
It
not.
has 2 holes. No, 100%. Look it up. Somebody will say it. Dude, I'm not making this up. It has 2 holes because
a special net.
Yes. If you went into the barricade with a Hawkeye or a COD, it would chew up the barricade. So they literally have a barricade with 2 holes in it.
Dude, so you really got to be on center line.
Well, remember every Hawkeye or COD you saw, they were on center line. You have 2.5 feet.
That's true.
2.5 feet left or right, and you are hitting things.
When you say it like that, I remember in the Hornet, I'm like, left lane or right lane?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Dude, if I went back as an LSO after I flew the Hornet, I would change every one of your scores of every Hornet pilot. I'd be like, really? Guys?
Mine are pretty bad, dude. I don't know if you dequal me if you change any less. No, but I just, man, that's such a, and I don't know off the top of my head how many barricades they've had in the Hornet. Thankfully, not many.
It's not all, yeah.
If you're listeners, if you're ever in Pensacola at the museum, they've got a really cool, they have like a piece of the actual net hanging up on the wall. You can look at it, touch it, so to speak. And there's video. I'm pretty sure they play this video in there as part of learning about naval aviation. But I thought it was a pretty amazing job, and like it always kind of drives home, the good work that the LSOs have to do. I mean, the pilot, right, that dude was calm, cool, collected, 300 pounds, man. I mean, how accurate is this gauge, right? So,
dude, he's probably I mean, I wouldn't be surprised in 97 if that was an alpha model.
Yeah.
Remember the tapes?
Yeah.
In the alpha, like
somebody
said, like, how accurate is it? It's like, it just kind of rolls back and forth. I mean, remember those, dude? Those were horrible.
Yeah,
like,
no, I know.
You're like,
I know.
Yeah, you call your fuel state and you're like, I'm 6'5" or 7'3". I don't know, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy, man.
Well, thanks, Wombat, for your LSO insight on that. I always enjoy hearing what you have to say about those. But hey, we're almost at the 2-hour mark, man. Let's knock out the mental health minute. Doug, we how many questions how many chats we got?
There's one left for Wombat.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll do it now. Mark's 93 Cobra. That's such a cool car, by the way.
That is a cool
salad
car.
Shooters. I'd love to have one. Wombat, I'll be happy.
Too new for you, isn't it? That's a little too advanced.
93.
Yeah, you got to dial it back a little.
I'll be happy to build you another Hornet and the double. Like how you can use it as stress relief, dude.
It's hilarious.
That is
hilarious.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the support. All right, so yeah, so we got, there it is, mental health. Thank you, Doug. Mental health minute, negativity when following your dreams. So we got one of our viewers, and by the way, I've said it before, I'll say it again. We appreciate all the suggestions, all the feedback. We try to bring it back into the show because really the show is, for you guys. We like talking about flying and aviation and stuff, but if we can help, we can, and we try to get to as much of it as possible. But so this particular person, longtime viewer, I didn't see her on tonight, but basically she's put in a packet to go officer, go pilot, and she's already enlisted, and she's getting I don't know if hate's the right word, but she's getting some pushback from the people around her, right? So, hey, you're trying to do that, so we're not going to help you with your enlisted career. So, I was trying to think like what best to call it, and this is the best I could come up with, is negativity when following your dreams. And I thought it'd be good also because Wombat, you did a transition from one community to another, and how tight each community is in the military. It's like going from one high school to another. So your input, I think, is going to be valuable. But, for me, negativity when following your dreams, a lot of times, when I decided that military aviation was still possible for me and still something that I could do, I definitely got a lot of pushback from my civilian pilot buddies, and even like some of the adults in my life. So I tried to get into military aviation when I was in college, and if you guys are familiar with my story, I couldn't because of childhood asthma. Right, I had all these defects that I couldn't overcome. September 11th happened. I joked they lowered the standard, let me in. Right, so I kept trying. Right, I didn't stop. I kept trying, and then when finally the window opened up, and like one story sticks in my head the most is like I was back home and I was talking to my friend's mom, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to the Navy. And she just sighed. She looked at me and she said, all that schooling and training and you're going to the Navy. And I just, it's because she cared about me. Right. So my perspective on this, and at least my experience with it, is a lot of times the negativity that you're getting isn't always rooted in people trying to drag you down, but a lot of times it's people trying to help you, whether you're trying to do something out of the box. Mace talks about following your dreams instead of doing stuff that's easy. Sometimes people just don't understand, and things that people don't understand, sometimes they mock, make fun of. I think we all did some of that when we were kids, right? It's just kind of human nature. So how do you handle it? Well, it's your dream. And, if it's a big enough, bold enough dream and it gets you excited enough, hopefully, that's enough to get you through the negativity. And I will say that once you actually get into, in this person's case, into, becoming an officer, going to flight school and stuff, soon you will be surrounded with people that have your dream, that are in support of your dream, because they're either on the same path or on a similar path, and they more understand what you're doing. And really, you have to surround yourself with those people that support you and those people that have a similar or same goal as you, because the rising tide lifts all ships, right? So they are going to help you, even if it's your parents. Because when I left the Navy Reserve and went to the Air Force Reserve, I remember my dad telling me, it's like, wait a minute, you're getting out of the Navy, flying F-18s to go fly T-38s in the Air Force? That sounds like a downgrade to me. But he's
not wrong. He's not wrong.
But he didn't understand. And I tried to tell him, like, Dad, for family, this is better. This is an upgrade, But in his mind, proud dad, right, likes to tell all of his buddies his son's flying F-18s. Now he has to tell me to fly T-38s. I was like, just tell him MiG-28s. But like, my dad loves me. He just wants the best for me. In his mind, I was doing the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that were more in my circle, I guess, as far as living life with me, Wombat, Mover, right? We're all kind of the same age in that phase of life where we're trying to balance work, family, the whole 9 yards. They got it, right? So you want to surround yourself with the people that are helping you make it happen. And I would argue that in the end, if you make it and you're good, you put in the time and the work and are successful at it, the people who were negative from a viewpoint of worrying about you and trying to protect you and care for you, they will come around and they'll see it and they'll be proud of you. Because my dad, he's, I've told him my T-38 stories, and it puts just as big of a smile on his face as the F-18 stuff, at the end of the day. So, Wombat, what do you think, man?
I mean, I've never actually dealt with negativity towards my dreams, so this is new to me.
Dude.
If there was the subject matter expert area in this, I feel like I might be the leader of it. It's very interesting because I feel for the viewer that is doing this, and I hope, again, just like the Kingsville student we talked about, I hope they follow their passion and they go for that goal. And I talk about this a lot. It's the whole foundation between the never down, never out and all that. It's you're always moving against other forces, but moving towards your goals. And I have seen now over 20 some odd years of aviation and constantly trying to do what was my dreams. A lot of negativity to it. I didn't fit the mold, right? I didn't look, act, talk, wasn't smart enough to be a fighter pilot. So it was like, nah, you're not there. And then, when the time came to go from E2s to Hornets, now you have negativity on both sides. And there was positivity too, but there was definitely negativity. And there still is to this day. I still get messages from people in the Hawkeye community like, you're a traitor. You should have never left. I mean, dude,
I told Wombat not to do it. Full disclosure, I told him not to do it.
You still tell me not to do it. It's already over.
No, it was a good choice. It was a good choice.
But you would see that there were people in the Hawkeye world that thought it was like I was acting like a traitor. And then there were people in the Hornet world that thought I couldn't hack it because I didn't get it in flight school. And what I have come up with now over 20 some odd years of this is it has nothing to do with aviation. It has to do with human nature. And people that are willing to be negative about your goal fall into one of two categories, in my opinion. Most of them do. There's obviously outliers, but number one, they're either ignorant and they don't understand it, or number two, they are jealous because either they couldn't do it, they didn't have the power to do it, the guts to do it, and these people will come at you. And I do agree with what Gonky said that eventually when you get there, you're going to surround yourself with people that have like-minded goals. But that wasn't 100% the case in my world when I got to the Hornet. I still had negativity. It was just the opposite negativity. Like, oh, you shouldn't even be here. The quote of, you took a spot from somebody in flight school that should be flying Hornets. I'm like, I earned it, right? I did everything. But what I have found now is you can channel this negativity with the right personality, and it could be the strongest positive motivator for anything you want to do. So when I am now moving through life as a mid 40-year-old with two kids and trying to, write books, because again, there was more negativity there, I almost listen for the negativity. And if I don't hear it, there's a part of me that goes, am I really pushing hard enough? Or am I comfortable? Right? Have I gotten into a point, and there's been times, I mean, in the last few years where I've gotten comfortable and you don't hear the negativity. And it's like, well, hold on a second. Am I really going to my max potential? Am I pushing as hard as I can push in whatever that is, whether it's writing, whether it's family, whether it's, in my aviation career and instructing? Am I pushing the envelope enough that if I'm not ruffling some feathers, there's a good chance that I'm really not going after any goals. I'm just kind of stagnant. And you know me very well and know I don't do well stagnant, period. I need to be working towards something. And that changes a lot as to what it is. So it's tough, and it's always going to be tough in the moment. I say, reach out to people you trust. There are people that truly understand, or at least understand you enough to maybe not understand your goal, but understand if you're passionate about it, they support you. Those are true friends. Try to drown it out. But if you can get yourself to a position where you don't have to drown it out and you actually use it like fuel, nobody can stop you. Yeah. Nobody. It is an unbelievable amount of motivation to be able to have haters come and just smile and go, I'm only going to be better now because of what you thought you were trying to cut me down with. You've made me better. You did the opposite of what you were trying to do. You were trying to cut me down. And while you're sitting over there in your little group talking bad about me, I'm moving ahead. And when you come out of your little group and you go, where's he at? We're still talking. I'm gone. I've left you in my dust. And that is such a powerful transition to make in your life. I think that's truly when people can do that, then sky's the limit. You can do anything you want. So, but it's tough in the moment. It is tough in the moment. So keep the closeness of your, your true cadre, your inner circle tight and small, and you'll be able to get through it. But know that you're also not the only one that's had it, because even somebody as loved as Gonky has had haters. I think it was just one guy, just one.
Plenty of haters, man. Plenty of haters. Listen, there's hate on the Labrador Island. Trust me. Golden Retriever Island. Doug, clean it up, man. What do you got?
I'm gonna come at this one from the opposite angle. I've had
the
the
negative to people.
Yeah,
no, that's
screw those losers. No, that's not what I meant. I've had the wonderful opportunity to be a mentor to lots of folks during my career, and I don't remember anybody ever coming back to me later and saying, "Man, I wish you hadn't encouraged me so much." Do not be the negative one. Don't, even if you feel like you know better, even if you're trying to protect somebody, if somebody's got a dream and they want to pursue it, be on their side, help them, support them. And it's such a glorious feeling for somebody to come back after they've succeeded and say, hey, this happened at least partly because of you. I mean, is having somebody come back and say, well, I failed just like you said. I mean, those are your choices.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's true. It really is. And you are the keeper of that dream. Like, it's nobody else's dream. And I speak from experience. Like, I wanted to fly fighters so bad. Like, nobody else wanted to fly fighters for me as bad as I wanted to fly fighters. Nobody else wanted to have a family and loving, healthy kids and a successful marriage more than I did for me, right? Nobody wanted the books more than I did for me. And to have that, like, don't let people take your dreams away from you. Do not, because the only thing that happens if you give your dream to somebody else is you get regret in return. That's it. You will live your life with regret for giving up that dream. So don't let it happen. Hold on to it with all your might and just let that negativity fuel you to prove that person wrong. And eventually you will.
Life is such a mind game.
Look at how many people have succeeded in situations of adversity with just that attitude.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, they make movies about people like that.
Not yet, but it is available for screenplay if anybody wants. Totally kidding. Sorry, I don't mean that.
No, well, thanks, Doug. Man, as usual, come in and clean it up nicely.
Finishing it strong.
Yeah. Do we have any last chats before we wrap this thing up?
Got one from a longtime listener, often caller. It's right on point.
John, hey, and some fields like LEO. What is LEO?
Leo, law enforcement officer, Gonky.
Oh, that's
seriously.
Right.
Come
Dude.
on, it's late. I know. You got the cortisone in your knees. It's going to your brain.
We're not allowed to call them cops anymore.
I apologize.
Moover's not here with his. Sorry, John. I apologize.
Jesus. Take your $10.
I'm just a fighter pilot.
He doesn't deserve it. All right.
In some fields like LEO, chasing your dreams can help you weed out those in your life who don't need to be there. As Gonky mentioned, surround yourself with like-minded people who will support you 100%, man. And that is one of the things that drew me to the military in general, was a common mission, right? We're all working towards a common mission, even in boot camp, right? Everything was kind of missionized. So, and it works. It works. It really does. I'd argue it's a little bit harder when you're out here in the jungle free world by yourself, because you kind of got to find your own wolf pack to be with, Yeah,
it's tough, but I do agree. I have found over the course of my life, and hopefully many years ahead, that with every major goal I accomplish, my circle gets slightly smaller for this reason. Like, you realize, and I mean, you saw it with the untold stories, in the Hornet world and all that circle got small quick of the people that I trusted after that. And that's just what you do, and you move forward.
Dude, one of these days I'll be the angry old man who has no friends who lives at the end of the street that all the little
You'll
kids
have a
are afraid
friend.
of.
You'll have a friend.
A
Maybe
friend?
just one, but I'll be there for you. So
Thanks, man. Well, cool. Well, hey, we
I
did
thought
it.
this last one was funny. I'm just going to throw it up there.
Bob, should snow weed out. Mom and Dad, they're just
true. It's
Yeah.
true. I'm realizing it more now. I give my parents so much credit.
100%.
I can't imagine. I cannot imagine
100%.
like sending your little boy or girl off to go land on aircraft
No.
carriers. When you saw them grow up and fall off their bike and not be coordinated, and sometimes half-ass things in school, and you're like,
yeah,
hope they got their stuff together. So
yeah, Bob, you bring up a good point, man. I mean, parents will be parents, right? So well, holy cow, man. 52 episodes a year.
Congrats again. And you made it all the way through.
Thank you, Doug, for I definitely would have had some logistical issues.
Mover taking a break had me realize how much stuff he does when he's here.
Yeah,
He just sits in the background and does it. He's good at it.
Yeah,
people think he's just zoning out into space, but he's actually
working. He's able to do the 1,000-yard stare, but work, which I can't do.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Not multitask.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah. But yeah, congrats, man. I mean, a year.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Hopefully we get another year. Just like to thank the viewers. Thank everybody for joining us tonight. We'll definitely get Wombat back on. We had a couple stories we didn't get a chance to talk about. I had an E2 video that we'll play next time, Wombat, where you're on that.
I've never seen that video before either.
Me neither. We'll save it for
amazing.
The next time you're on, because I'd like to hear more E2 stories. But
who doesn't want E2 stories? If only there was a great book. I'm just kidding. Totally.
Available. Yeah, Doug, you got any 1 year 52 episode closing comments for the fans or what?
I do not. I'm just kind of amazed.
I know. I thought this thing would peter out after the second show.
Yeah.
It's been smooth the whole time, man. Don't be negative.
Figured it would have been canceled a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. And hey, July is going to be a little weird with my schedule, Mover's schedule, but we'll play it by ear. We'll post.
There's going to be fun things in July.
Fun things, but as far as Mondays, that's TBD. We'll put it out there as early as possible, so you guys can join us live. But until next time, we will see you guys. Everybody have a great night, and thanks for joining us.